Hi everyone, today let's have a look at the gap analysis. We will use the payment demo as an example. Now let's look at how gap analysis work. First we came to the dashboard and we will find the gap tile at the bottom. Click on the tile and came to the gap analysis window. So let's see what's in the sidebar. As usual, it has filters, data store, breakdown, group, sort, and show and hide button. So you must already be very familiar with this. Filters, you can just choose by some criteria that it will filter some specific or a list of specific vendors' data values. And in a data store, now by default it has two. One is the vendor and one is the payment. And if you choose different data store, then you will have different breakdowns. Like in this case, the payment data store has more breakdowns, like the vendor, date, and value. And also there is group. That means you will group by these criteria to group the data, the records together. And also the sort options and show and hide button. So in this case, the payment data store is more useful because every vendor has an ID like this. And actually the gap between the vendor ID doesn't have much point. So the gap in the payment ID has more point in finding out some abnormal things because usually the payment ID is continuous, and if you find some gaps inside, then you will pick out the problem. So let's see the payment ID. Now you have a long list of the, the payment ID, but here is also the vendor ID because you didn't choose the group. So choose to group by ID, then you apply changes. So now here you comes the payment ID but not the vendor ID. And you can sort by the ID like in the descending order. So you will have the IDs beginning with 900 down to the very small number of payment ID. And now you can see the gaps inside. So sometimes the payment ID is somehow related with the date, like the more recent the date is, then the payment ID's number might be large. So you can see the recent transactions and you can find out the gap. But usually we will just sort by the gap. So you might see, wow, this is a very big gap. So you have such a large gap that you need to investigate. Then maybe then a smaller gap. So this will give you a priority in investigating the gaps. And also you can add some breakdowns. You can break down by date, values, or vendor. So it will give you more directed details. For example, you group by vendor ID. Yes, so you can see there is a list of the vendor here. And you can see for each vendor, there are some gaps in here. And also You can, for example, by date. So the date can't be chosen in this case, or you try to break down by value. Well, value is also can't be chosen. So in this case, you can only choose to break down by vendor. So the gap analysis is quite simple, and this is how it basically works. Thanks for watching.